Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be talking through a couple player props I like on Prizepicks for tonight's NBA slate on Tuesday, March the 28th. It is Taco Tuesday, and at the time I'm recording this video, we do have our first taco posted for the day on Prizepicks. We have Trae Young's points prop discounted to 21.5. The line was originally at 25.5, got discounted to 21.5. That will be available until 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, so take advantage of that discount, pair that with the two picks I give out in this video that we're going to talk about in a second. And if you guys are not playing on Prizepicks yet, you definitely want to get signed up over there. Use that promo code NOAH. When you sign up, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And for those of you that are unaware, every Tuesday Prizepicks does their Taco Tuesday promotion where they give, usually it's 3 discounted projections. They'll post one kind of in the early afternoon, right now. Then they'll have another one in the mid-afternoon around 4 Eastern time. It's usually an NHL taco. I guess it'll be an NHL taco. And then they usually do another NBA taco for the late night games. I think there's only one late night game tonight, but there probably will be a taco for that game too. So if you guys are not playing on Prizepicks yet, take advantage of these promos. Always, make sure you sign up. Use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up. And again, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. But I do want to recap our 2 plays from yesterday before we talk through our plays for today. So unfortunately, man, our streak of cashing came to an end yesterday. We cashed 4 days in a row with our 2-pick entry. But yesterday, unfortunately, we did not hit our 2-pick entry. We took the over on Alperen Şengün's first half fantasy score. Was a little bit worried about a blowout in that game. The game did wind up blowing out. Şengün lost minutes because of the blowout, but he didn't play that well in the first half, and he played terribly in the second half too. I think he finished with 15 fantasy points for the whole game, not including first half. In the first half, I think he had 9 or 10 fantasy points. It was just a really bad game from Şengün. Matchup, I thought the matchup was a little bit tougher, but I thought his projection was definitely too discounted because of the matchup. And he didn't really play that well. It is what it is, I guess. And then we did catch the over on Brandon Ingram's points. He hit his first half points prop. We took that just because the blowout risk in that game. The game wound up blowing out. But luckily, Ingram cashed his first half points and his full game points. So if you took either, both of them cashed. Really like that spot for Brandon Ingram against a Blazers team that has played no defense lately. So Ingram came through for us. Unfortunately, Şengün did not. Still, though, over the last 5 days, we've gone 9-1 on the 10 picks we've given out in these YouTube videos over the last 5 days. So been on a really good run. Hopefully, we can keep that going into Tuesday's slate. And again, I got 2 picks for today, guys. Just before we talk through these 2 plays, again, make sure you guys hit that like button down below. If you have not yet, hit that subscribe button as well. We're getting close to 40,000 subscribers. I think we're about 500 subscribers away. So if you guys have not yet, please hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. But let's talk through it, man. Let's talk through the 2 props I like for today. We're going to hit on 2 fantasy score props. So the first guy that I want to talk about is going to be Deni Avdija. Deni Avdija's fantasy score sits at 31.5. And this is an over that I do like, despite kind of a tougher matchup against Boston. You look at Deni Avdija's recent games, and I really want to highlight the last 3 games, because the last 3 games have been without Bradley Beal, and they have been without Kyle Kuzma. And Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma are once again out today. We're seeing Deni Avdija start with those guys out. He's been playing 30-plus minutes a night. Over their last 3 games, he's played 32, 34, and 34 minutes. And do want to mention the game against Denver where he played 32 minutes. That game did wind up being sort of a blowout, and Avdija subbed out with about 3.5 minutes left in the 4th quarter. So if that game was competitive, the game against Denver, Avdija would have played probably 35 minutes, had it been close. So I think as long as tonight's game against Boston stays close, we're going to get about 34, 35 minutes from Deni Avdija. It's a big if Washington can keep this close, but luckily Washington is playing at home here, so I think that makes it a little bit more likely the game stays competitive. Right now, I think the spread is 10.5 or 11. If we're getting 30-plus minutes from Deni Avdija on a nightly basis, I think he's going to have a pretty good chance of going over this fantasy score, even in kind of a tougher matchup against the Celtics. You look at Deni Avdija as a player. He's one of these guys that can do everything when he's on the floor. He can score, he can rebound, he can facilitate, he can get some defensive stats too. He's kind of like a do-it-all guy. You look at his game log, like in the games he's played without Kyle Kuzma and Bradley Beal. Against Denver, he had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Did have 4 turnovers, which kind of cost him in that game. Plus, he had no defensive stats. But then the game against San Antonio, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal, 2 turnovers. And then against Toronto, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and a steal. He's a guy that, again, just can do everything. Score, rebound, get assists. He has a lot of ways to go over this fantasy score. And you look at his numbers this season without Bradley Beal, without Kyle Kuzma, he's been about a fantasy point per minute player. He's averaged right around 1 fantasy point per minute. And do want to mention that not only Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma are questionable, but Daniel Gafford's questionable and Monte Morris is questionable as well. So, like, if Monte Morris is out, we could see more facilitating for Denny Avia. If Daniel Gafford is out, that could definitely give a boost to Avia's rebounding numbers. I mean, there's been games this season, like, I know there was one game, I think Denny Avia grabbed like 20 rebounds. Like, he's actually a guy that, crashes the glass hard. He really, like, goes for rebounds. So a lot of ways for him to go over this fantasy score. He's been a really productive player on a permanent basis without Bradley Beal, without Kyle Kuzma. And even in kind of a tougher matchup against the Celtics, if we're going to get like 33, 34 minutes from Denny Avia here, I like his chances of going over 31.5 fantasy score. If you are worried about the blowout, if you think that could definitely cost him, then you could look at his first half projection. I was debating taking first half or full game. His first half line is at 15.5. Again, if you think the game blows out, then you could possibly look at that. But I feel like Washington can keep this close enough to where Denny Avia does play in the fourth quarter, does get his full minutes. And again, when games have been competitive, he's been playing about 34, 35 minutes as a starter. So that's the first pick I do like for today. And then the other pick I like is going to be another fantasy score prop. And I want to talk about Nick Richards, who I really like in this matchup against OKC. His fantasy score line, it sits at 28.5. And this is another over that I do like going up against the Thunder. So the Thunder have been a pretty good matchup for centers kind of all season. They've really struggled on the glass, and that's what's really cost them. You look at their, in terms of like rebounding numbers allowed to centers, they're giving up the 5th most rebounds per game to centers. In terms of offensive rebounds allowed to the center position, they're giving up the most offensive rebounds per game to centers, tied with the Pacers. In terms of like points in the paint, the Thunder have gotten better. Towards the beginning of the season, they were giving up a ton of points in the paint. They're about middle of the pack now in terms of points in the paint allowed. But Nick Richards is one of these guys that, he's going to get a lot of his production from offensive rebounds, from putbacks, and that's where the Thunder really struggle is on the glass. They just don't really have a good center. I mean, they have Jalen Williams, who they'll start at center, but I mean, he's not like the best defender. He's definitely kind of undersized compared to a lot of the other centers in this league. And Richards, is a big dude. He's a guy that can crash the glass, get a lot of putbacks. He's also a really good shot blocker, and we have seen OKC allow a lot of block shots to centers this season, and I think that's kind of due to SGA driving to the basket so much. SGA, I'm pretty sure he leads the league in drives per game. He's a guy that's always looking to go to the basket, so anytime you have a guard like that driving to the basket, there's going to be plenty of block shot opportunities. So far this season, in terms of blocks allowed to centers, OKC is allowing the 3rd most blocks per game to the center position, and Nick Richards, a pretty good shot blocker. We've seen him have some games lately with a good amount of blocks. There was a game recently against Utah that he started. He had 5 blocks. He had 3 blocks against Cleveland. He has started 7 games this season. He's over this fantasy score line in 3 out of those 7 games. But there was a couple games where he came up just short. He had 26.3 against the Pelicans. He had 24.7 against Dallas. And then there was a game against Cleveland that was a blowout. He only played 23 minutes. And there was a game against Philly, really tough matchup against Joel Embiid. He got in foul trouble, only played 13 minutes. But most of the games he started this season that have not been blowouts, that have been competitive, where there's been no foul trouble, Richards has played 27, 30, 30, 26, and 32 minutes. So I think we can kind of expect anywhere from like 26 to 32 minutes. My guess is like 28, 29 minutes. And Nick Richards has been a fantasy point per minute player this season. He's averaged over a fantasy point per minute. The matchup is really good here against OKC. And we saw last game, Nick Richards actually was a DMP. They started Mark Williams at center. They used Kai Jones as the backup center. Richards didn't even play. And then it got reported that the Hornets are going to rotate their centers around the rest of the season. So today, Mark Williams is resting, which makes me assume Nick Richards will be back in the starting lineup, and then Kai Jones will be the backup. And then I guess next game, we'll see Mark Williams back in the starting lineup, Richards will be the backup, and then Kai Jones just won't play. So we're kind of seeing the center rotation for the Hornets right now just kind of be like a roulette, I guess. Or not really a roulette, but they're just kind of rotating in and out, and I guess they're going to do that the rest of the season. Tonight should be the night that Nick Richards gets back in the starting lineup, and I think he'll play, close to 30 minutes here. He might even play in a blowout too. Like if by some chance OKC does blow out Charlotte here, I know the spread is like 10.5. Last time it was a blowout, they actually did play Nick Richards in the blowout. It was the game against the Pelicans. I remember that game because I took his over fantasy score that day, and he was out there. Even when they were losing by like 15 or 20 with a few minutes left, he was still out there. So I feel pretty good about his minutes. As long as he can just avoid foul trouble. He should play about 30 minutes here, and I really like the matchup against OKC. I think there's plenty of ways Richards could get there, either from like rebounding, from from putbacks, from scoring, or potentially from blocking shots. As always, with fantasy score, you do get 3 points per block, so those add up really, really quick. Blocks and steals, I should say. But that'll do it for today's video, guys. These are 2 fantasy score props I like, kind of taking a first look at the board right now. You can pair these with the Trae Young taco if you want. That will be available until 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then there will be another taco that goes up after that, and then there'll be one more. So usually there's 3 tacos a day. This is the first one of the day. But this is what I'm liking for NBA tonight, guys, kind of as a first look. Hope you guys, though, did enjoy this video. I appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that like button down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you guys are new to Prizepicks, you haven't checked them out before, you can sign up for Prizepicks. You can use my promo code NOAH. When you sign up, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you sign up with my promo code. So definitely check out Prizepicks. If you have not yet, make sure to use that code when you sign up, so that way you do get your deposit bonus. But so all that I got for tonight's slate, guys. Wish you the best of luck. Hopefully we can catch these 2 picks, or including the taco. Hopefully we can catch all 3 of these picks. But appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.